Hello, and thank you for joining us for 916 Goes Live through the Sacramento Black Chamber of Commerce. My name is Mark Adams, and I'm excited to be your host today as we talk about business and how we renew, restore, and revive. As we kick off 2022, it's important that we align ourselves with businesses and like-minded individuals who will give us the nuggets, the nutrients that allow for us to expand and grow in our business. We're excited today to be joined by a few special guests who will talk to us about their businesses and how they're renewing and reviving their businesses, as well as opportunities for you to learn about what they're offering in this arena as we try to build and grow our businesses. It's funny how this all got started. Eric Whiteside had contacted me in regards to me hosting the show, as I own AHI Construction. And I had been in talking. And first, let me give thanks to Aziza Davis Goings, who couldn't be with us today, but I'm quite sure that she's probably watching this. And she is our illustrious leader who gives us a lot of insight and knowledge in how we could be more effective in this business as we expand and grow it throughout the state. But let me get back to the story. I was talking with Eric, and we were just talking about the plan for next year for my business. And I told him that, hey, man, for right now, I'm putting one foot in front of the other, and it is time for me to renew, restore, and revive. And I called them the three R's. And the question was, well, what does that mean? Because they all are synonyms to each other. You know, we renew, restore, revive is almost the same thing, but I broke it down to him in a little bit of more of a fashion. And I said, when you restore something, it's almost like you're taking it down to the bones of it. You're actually going through the whole process of understanding what it once used to look like, and now you're restoring it back to its original fashion. So as we look at an old armchair, I'll give the example of a chair. When we restore a chair, we actually sand down all the finishes on it. We take off all the material on it. We take off all the pad. We actually go through and take all the screws and the nails out because we want to get back to the point where it was being built. So we want to restore that. When we renew something, it's almost like a restore, but it's not to the full fashion. So we renew it in a fashion where, maybe we'll just we take the cover off of it and put new padding in it. We'll still use the same varnish that's on the legs, but maybe just a new pad, maybe a new color, something new and exciting. And then when we revive something, we bring it back to life with more vigor, more passion, more energy. So as we grow in this business, and as you've been in business for a while, I've been in business for almost 20 years as a general contractor. And I go through various phases of my business where I have to look back and plan on what I plan to do for the year coming forward. So this year, I plan to restore. I plan to go back and remember what it was like when I first started the business. What was that hunger at? What was driving me every day? What was that passion at? And I had to go back and find it. I had to renew it because I had to, I learned a lot going along this process, but some things I just needed to go back and try and understand what can I do better? How can I be more efficient? And then revive it. How do I get the passion back? How do I make sure that people, when they call up AHI Construction, they're met with the personality that says that they're hungry for this work and that they're going to do the best they can, and they're going to see the true essence of the project. So as we begin this stream, I want you to understand and keep in mind every conversation will revolve around what are you doing to renew your business? What are you doing to restore it? And lastly, how are you going to revive it? I thank you for your time, and we will go ahead and bring on our first guest. We have 5 speakers today who are coming to speak to us about different various businesses, and we're going to go ahead and bring them up. The first person we're going to bring up is Ernie Smile with West Coast Construction, and he's going to talk to you about some of the services that he provides as he restores and revives homes.
Good day.
Welcome, Vernon. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, I ain't gonna complain today, but if you got a good ear for me, I'll sure like to lean on you.
Well, when you get a complaint department, it'll work. You know what I mean? That's what a
Well,
service call. But
I
I
think
like what you
somebody else
said.
is gonna come and talk to us about the complaint department. So,
Yeah.
but go ahead and give us a little insight into your business. How long? Tell us what service areas you provide, what service areas you work in, how long you've been in business, and what are you doing to restore and revive homes in the Sacramento region or however else you travel.
Well, first of all, I have West Coast Construction Pro, which is a construction general contractor license, but it's a home improvement company. I have learned how to take a construction company and go into the home improvement sector because that keep you working year round versus construction is seasonal. So I learned that. And then with the construction license, I'm able to do a roof, I'm able to do windows, I'm able to do certain home improvement projects that keep me working year round. I understand in business, you know what I mean, when you say with the three R's, marketing is important because with the marketing, you can always, you know what I mean, restore, revitalize, and and keep going forward. So I keep this year is for the marketing to actually take place. So, more people know about the services or the products that we provide. So I have a marketing company tied to my construction company. And that's how I actually am able to create jobs with job stimulants, what I do with door-to-door marketing. And then we are attached with the financing to help our customers, which is very important in business, first and foremost. And then with the system of marketing and if everything is in place, it's easy to help your customer, help you bring the deal home. I do sales. I'm the salesman of my company. I oversee projects in production also. And then I run the marketing, which is a separate entity, but that entity actually generates the engine and the fuel for the home improvement construction. So I'm
Eh,
revitalizing where I going into my Spanish sector. That's where I grow into that. I'm going into my media with my commercials and this and that. I have one coming up with 97.5. So this was great when they called me and asked me about what I had going on or what was my vision for my business for next year. So my business is sales and growth and also marketing, hiring and looking for quality, good people that you invest into so they can invest back into you, doing more profit sharing so people can become a part of your company versus just work for you. They'll work with you. So that's some of the things I'll be doing and using the Black Chamber of Commerce more to network with the business people in Sacramento, the greater Sacramento area. Is there any particular questions you want to run back and forth off me, or you just want to know more
Um,
about it?
well, yeah. So tell me this: how'd you get started, and what drove you to construction? Was there something in your experience that um, pushed you towards uh, general contracting?
Yeah, the business side. I own a general contracting license with a business partner that's the actual general contractor behind the license. I understood business. I went to school for business. I have a degree in business. So I partner up with a general contractor to go into the home
Mm,
improvement sector because I seen companies doing $1 million, $2 million a month. So that's where my drive came from, knowing that a real construction company makes millions.
right,
If
exactly.
you're a part owner with one, if you know how to do sales and they know how to do productions, I worked with companies like that. And then I built the door-to-door marketing system to go direct sales so we can get to $1 million a month.
Really. So what were
Yes.
some of the challenges you were faced with as you were growing, trying to get to that plateau? I know for me, some of the biggest things that were impacting me was my bonding. As I started to try and get to those $1 million ranges, were there anything that impacted you, and what advice would you give to people as they try and venture out into that big arena of multi-million-dollar projects?
Look for people like you, look for people like me, alliance they self, you know what I mean, with chambers of conference and things like that, because you know what I mean, you will get the information, you'll get certain guidance and support, and that's your community. you know my challenges has always been quality people because I'm for my people. And so I always want to give my people the shot first, and then business turn into where you're helping them, but then they think they're helping your business, but they're not because they're not being quality individuals. And then you're trying to still invest into them. And that's hard because that's where your heart's at, you know. But long as you keep pushing forward, you know what I mean, it won't stop you, but it stops a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree with you 100% on that. Like I always say, we're constantly as business owners putting one foot in front of the other. And the biggest thing that we're facing with specifically in the construction industry is qualified people and people who understand the trades that we need them for. So I applaud you in continuing to keep pushing forward, even when we're dealing with this dynamic. What are some of the things that you're doing to kind of combat that workforce issue? Is there anything you're doing outside of the business, or are you just constantly looking? And what would you suggest to someone who's facing that issue? How would you market out to those new talent you're trying to get into your business?
You constantly got to place ads. You have to invest into marketing. A lot of people don't understand marketing and advertisement, you know what I mean, are kissing cousins. So if you don't advertise yourself, if you don't marketing yourself, how can you get to a different customer base? How can you even get to quality individuals? So I always, you know what I mean, in business, you know, if you go into it without a degree first, is going to be hard because everything is trial and error. But if you at least seek information first, you have somewhat of a blueprint, you know, or a mock that you can go by that just helps you along the way a little bit. And then we always gotta invest into quality people. So I always invest into looking for the knowledge, you know.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. I think, as a board member for the Black Chamber, one of the things that I've been focusing on is how do we help the businesses that are in this arena take full advantage of the opportunities that are coming down, specifically in construction. And so I think we have a good panel today talking about that, uh, but and trying to understand how does workforce development look like moving into the future for us. So uh, I thank you for your time. Is there any other tidbits or any other advice or sentiments you would like to give to people who are on this live right now that you could share with us?
Yes, I think, you know, like I said, we're a community and we don't even know each other. So if we're related,
Right.
why we're not connected? So once we realize we're related, you know what I mean, and we're connected like all the other business community. I deal with the Russian business community. I deal with the Spanish business community. You know what I mean, Italians, and their network is totally different from ours because ours is I. Theirs is us.
Right.
And once we get to us, you know, it's more patronized, you know what I mean, even bartering, getting back to bartering amongst each other. Once we're able to have that type of network system within our community, I think then we'll have empowerment also. Because with power, we have to turn it into empowerment. But if you have power and you hold it in, it's just for you. But with empowerment, it's for everybody else around you. And that's how you can build up other individuals also. And then we have to actually understand we need more than one stream of income. So, you know, once we got that one out the way, we need to constantly be working on something else to fall back on.
That is excellent. That's excellent advice. And especially as we try and work, one of the things that we try and do is do a lot of business in our community. But with the talent pool as limited as it is, sometimes it's advantageous to go out and work with other chambers and network with other communities and try and get them involved in what you're doing. Because some people have a different insight, the cultural concepts and the cultural uh, work ethics of other people can rub off on you and you the same. So I applaud you for what you're doing. And I think the greatest advice you said was to me, and I'm speaking for me, was that we have to stop being so quiet in our own communities and start leaning on each other to grow what we see around us. The whole crabs in a bucket mentality. We want to get that out of the way and let's start building because there's tons of opportunity for all of us right now. And I'd rather have 1% of a billion than 100% of nothing.
And one other thing, we all have different from contractors. We're all set up differently. But if we all knew how we all was set up, we can help each other. I have financing. I have other things. I'm a SMUD approved contractor. Who else is actually on the SMUD website? Hello? You went back out? But if you can hear me, we all have different network systems, you know what I mean, as contractors that if we use what we all have together, you know what I mean, it'll just help each other in our field. I don't think what you're doing is going to affect what I'm doing. And every contractor should feel like that, to where, you know, whatever your business is and wherever your market is, it's not like you're going to take away from my company, but we can actually help grow each other's company together with the systems that we have each as individuals. So I'll be working with the radio station more and more. I have a nonprofit I'm gonna get to, and I'm gonna stay on the radio station with that, and some other great things about the community that I'm doing to step up as a leader. And we'll definitely build. I'll definitely be way more connected to the chamber this year also as a member.
Okay. Well, real quick, let me see something. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Send my sound out.
Can you hear me?
Is my sound back now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Let me just adjust something real quick. All right, is that better?
Yes, it's great.
Well, you know, I'm in construction. I ain't in the IT and information technology. But I understand what you're saying. We definitely have to build more on synergy. 1 + 1 = 1,000,000. And I'm excited about what you're bringing to the table. I'm excited to learn more about your nonprofit. And, you know, I would just actually like to say I applaud you in everything you're doing. And once again, we'll take this offline. I would love to get together and have some coffee with you, and then we can move on and make sure that we go after this money that's coming out.
We're going to do that, man. So you call me, man, and we're doing that ASAP. And thank you guys so much for even offering me this platform.
Amen to that. I don't know what is going on here. Appreciate you, Mr. Vernon. We are going to pivot on and go on to our host, who is Robert Alexander. He's going to speak to us about virtual business staffing and how that ties into us renewing, restoring, and reviving our business, specifically in this time when general contractors are having issues with their information technology. If you get a chance, go out and check out his virtual business strategy website, and I'm sure Robert Alexander will talk more about that. Let's try and bring up Robert Alexander.
I'm sitting in for Robert today. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Great. Hey, I'm sitting in for Robert. He actually had a hard stop. He had another meeting he had to attend. I'm Jeff Trice. I'm the vice president of business development for virtual business staffing. So I want to make sure I get that out there and get that correct. I appreciate the platform today and the time to kind of share our business platform with you. We are a outsourcing company. So we do virtual staffing via outsourcing. Our company has been around since 2016. Our platform started on the first form of the medical staffing side, and that was in 2016. And we launched the business staffing site in 2020. I can tell you, my two business partners, Dr. Jordy and Chuck Rudolph, were initially on the medical side. We saw there was a great need. We provided administrative sources for any company, any field of industry, but specifically initially on the medical side, for medical scribing, any administrative function, whether it be data processing, and we did all that on the medical side. I can tell you, with 2020 and it changing the world in reference to COVID and people working from home, there is a great need for outsourcing. There are a lot of companies that were, whether you are a entrepreneur, a small business owner, or you're a Fortune 100 company, I mean, all of us have called, whether it be Verizon or Google or Amazon, and you have had engagement with an individual who is not necessarily here in the States, but they are actually in another country. For us, we offer those services via the Philippines. We've done that for a variety of reasons. For one, the talent pool and the resources that are in the Philippines is more Americanized. Their education, their field of industry is more relative to our needs here in the States. So that's where we find and source our talent via the Philippines. I can tell you that we have been very cognizant on placing the right virtual assistants, teaming them up with the right business owner so it's a good fit. And kind of talking on your platform today, it's very interesting. And I love the renew, restore, and revive, because that really goes along with our platform of restoring confidence in companies who maybe didn't have the resources to grow their company because they wear a lot of hats, right? So Mr. Vernon said he's the marketing manager, he's advertising, he's bookkeeping, he's doing a variety of things, right? And that stretches your quality time to really reinvest back into your business because you're trying to do so many things. There's only so many hours in a day that a individual, no matter how good they are, could leverage, right? And sometimes you need assistance. Virtual business staffing allows you to have that assistance by doing something virtual. How that benefits most companies is the individual who is a virtual assistant doing whatever administrative function for you really is at a fraction of the cost, saves you about 60 to 70% based off of the payroll, right? So going through virtual business staffing, there's no insurance that you need to pay. There's no taxes. There's no benefits that you have to allocate out of your personal business fund. This person really is under our umbrella, and they actually are a private contractor under your business platform. What it allows you to do is revive your profits because you're saving that money based off of that payroll, and you can reinvest into your business, by growing it for one, and by having that cost savings by having a virtual assistant. So it revives your profits, it revives your productivity. As I said, there's only so many hours in the day and so much an individual can do, and we have to be smarter these days and kind of leverage a lot of services, right? So as we are coming together, and it's about renewing our network and understanding there are other platforms out there that will allow you to be successful if you just understand how to leverage it to your own business. So for us at Virtual Business Staffing, we're a West Coast based company, but we're really worldwide because we have the stretch outside of being here domestically here in the United States and be able to connect quite a few people in all fields of industry, but able to support them with the staffing that they need to, one, grow their business and reinvest into their business at a minimal, profit, at a minimal payroll to invest into their business. So that is kind of in a very small nutshell, kind of Virtual Business Staffing. It's an outsourcing company. We can do all fields of industry, whether you're in construction, whether you have a mortgage company, whether you are a entrepreneur and you have a barbershop. You think about it, any administrative function that has to do with anything outside of in the back of the house, I say, where I don't have to hand you something physically, but I can take off of your plate bookkeeping, take off your plate, whether you need a virtual marketing manager to, do your advertisement, to manage all of your social media platforms. We have the ability to do that, or you have bookkeeping or scribing if you're in the medical industry. Just open your mind that we can free up and support you, with that type of service via Virtual Business Staffing. So I just want to kind of stop there and see if there is maybe a field of question or, how we have been able to be successful in, our platform and our business so far, and supporting great businesses such as yourselves going forward. I think you're on mute. Yeah, I think everybody can still hear me. Well, I hope you were able to hear me from the beginning. Otherwise, I went through that whole soliloquy and that went on deaf ears. But I see you smiling, so I think you can still hear me, but I can't hear you. Nope, I still don't have anything on. I can't hear you on my end. I can just tell you once again, if any of you are looking to grow your business, and we are here today, and I appreciate the opportunity for us to network. I think that's where our strategy and our strength is bringing our families together and seeing how we can leverage and lean on one another to strengthen our business, strengthen our understanding, and also have a further outreach to the expansion of your business. That's the exciting part for us here at Virtual Business Staffing is we have been able to contact and build relationships with many business owners in all fields of industry and allow them to grow their business by being a business partner of ours. I'll hesitate. I'll stop right there.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Outstanding.
I'm going to apologize to everybody out there in the 916 Go Live arena. Jeff, we heard you loud and clear. I think the most important thing that I took from this conversation is that when you're starting a business, like when Vernon said, we wear so many hats that it takes away from the profitability and the growth of your business because the owners are the leaders of this business. And so a great leader will find people who could do the tasks for them. And as I looked at your website, I saw stuff where you guys did the HR resources, which is very pivotal.
Yes.
When starting a company to understand the complexities of how you treat your employees. And just as simple as answering the phone. So I think everyone should go out and what you have going in your business model and try and get more information from you. I would suggest that everyone on this line at least do the research on what virtual business staffing has for them and their company. And as
Yeah.
you look to develop your business, it's kind of important that we understand what those things are doing, what those kind of services are needed to make sure you develop your business. So as we transition, I would like to bring up Cynthia D. I thank you, Jeff, for speaking to us in regards to your business, virtual business staffing. We also want to thank Robert Alexander for bringing you guys to our attention. But we want to talk now about how we motivate people to develop their strategies and how we could tie in these businesses like virtual business staffing and speak to the point of what Wendell talked about. So I want to bring up Cynthia Brooks from Soulforce Enterprises to kind of give us some information about her business and what she's doing to help people renew, restore, and revive as she motivates people to develop their business. Thank you, Cynthia. I think you might be muted.
I am muted. Okay.
There we go.
I'm here now. Okay, so yes, renew, restore, revive. New year 22, right? So
Amen.
Soulforce Enterprise, my tagline is harness your passion, identify your purpose, and define your process. I think hearing even in across all the industries, there's a need for us to really tap into why we do what we do, identify why we want to do what we do, and why we do what we do. So the who I typically work with are visionaries, community leaders, small business startups, and mission driven organizations. I have a long history of nonprofit service, started in as an AmeriCorps years ago. So, absolutely uh, buy into the civic responsibility of our role that we play in creating our community. So I love to work with folk that share in that visionaries, community leaders, mission driven organizations. how the services that we provide, Soulforce provides, is consulting services, which starts with developing ideas and marketing strategies, creating collaborative partnerships, developing engagement and outreach strategies. Again, we have these ideas, but how do we get them out? The gentleman was saying earlier, we are not yet connected like we should be in our community. So I am one that loves to play a part in making sure that's done. Project management services, implementing your ideas, fundraising strategies and opportunities is what I work with my clients in regard to. Event planning support, coordination and management, employment supports, preparing for the work world, building soft skills for success, and navigating the workspace. I appreciate the comments that were made earlier regarding the construction industry and and the gentleman talking about outsourcing services. We work in all of these workspaces, and sometimes our our community lacks those skills of how to navigate through being in certain workspaces, and I love to lend a assist to help them work through that. So that's part of what we do as well. uh, Again, our core points of operation is harnessing our passion, identifying our purpose, and defining our process. So, what is it that drives us to push beyond the barriers? We're talking about renew, restore, revive. What are those passions that we have? And yet we all experience barriers that won't allow us to push beyond them. But I think with dialogue and pointing out those barriers, we can work through those. Identifying the purpose. What is that thing that you were created to do? Everyone that has spoken prior to me has been passionate about what they do. And I believe we all possess that thing inside of us that will allow us that help us identify that and course correct and get us on point to move through our purpose. Defining the process. So what's the best path to take to ensure you reach those objectives? I love it. The gentleman said earlier, we need to connect. We need to collaborate. And so this process that I work with my clients on in identifying their passion, their purpose, and the process, I refer to this process as you're being soul forced. So that's
Mm,
you're being soul forced.
excellent.
My story and how I came to be the owner and founder of Soulforce Enterprise is I've always been inquisitive and driven by a cause for as long as
Mm,
I can remember. As a Taurus, I'm naturally focused, I'm determined, and I'm pretty bold. I'm kind of like the bull in the china cabinet sometimes. So, knowing that about myself, after years of finding myself in scenarios where I'm solving problems, I'm providing resources, sharing resources, connecting folks, and I determined that was my thing. That was my thing. Not that I could put another word on it other than that's my thing. I know how to do that. So I was encouraged by my small sister circle that, sister, you need to make this your business. How do I monetize this natural ability? Is this something people would want and pay for? And I have found that to be the case. So I, in fact, soul forced myself and eventually launched Soul Force Enterprise in 2018. So we all have that thing inside of us, that we all have that thing that drives us. And if we take the time to look into ourselves, you will identify that thing. So be open and allow yourself to be Soul Force by Soul Force Enterprise. LLC. Renew, restore, revive. I'm down with it. Thank you.
yes, that's great. I think the biggest thing, um, I always look at businesses like yours that offer the consulting as coaches, as people who lead people to an answer they already have. And I think I had a coach who was a basketball coach, but he's actually a business coach. And he said, even Kobe Bryant had a coach. And so, even as we think we know what we know, as we're renewing, reviving, and restoring our businesses, it's always good to have someone from a different background in a different arena has been exposed to so many businesses help us renew our vision, because the visions change. So I like what you're bringing to the table. I'm excited that more people will understand what you offer as a service, but also more to help people develop their dreams. And I
Yes.
think at the end of the
Yes.
day, we're pulling on our soul and our force to push us. And wherever that
That's right.
force is coming from,
That's right.
sometimes you need a little guidance. So, what do you? I'm gonna ask you a question, and I think
Sure.
there may be some questions coming in, but what do you think the biggest barrier is to people uh, starting their own businesses, and what can you do to help them?
I think the biggest fear, Mark, is fear. Is fear, right? Fear. I think you have this category of folk that may be working like myself, working my 40-hour job, and stepping out to do more. So time is obviously you're consistently thinking about something. Not a lot of downtime, but I think fear is a major barrier for those who want to step out and and bring to the surface that thing that's
Mm,
inside of them that they want to do. Um, I feel like this. Yes, we're all fearful, but if we're connected in a community, as the gentleman spoke about earlier, there's a support. It was my little small little sister circle that said, Cynthia, why don't you this is, they come to me about who are the caterers, who are the bakers in the community, who does
right.
this, who does that, and I store that information. So they said, you need to make a business out of this. So being that connector, so I think fear. But again, if we surround ourselves with that support, and like the chamber provides us and other entities, that we need to get around like-minded people who is also striving, right?
Right.
We if fear, being in the wrong circle, being in the wrong circle who is not encouraging you, that's not pressing you, you need to make that happen, sister, you know how to do that, brother, that's your thing, you good at this, you're good at that. And so fear is one that prohibits people from stepping out, but the counteract, get in the circle of
Yep.
folk that believe and are pushing towards building legacy, right? And again, the gentleman said earlier, we need different streams of income, right? Different funding streams. So if we're willing to put the work in, it's a doable.
Right.
If you're willing to put the work in, I know you know, busting through barrier walls is, hey, if we're the only color in the room, if we're the
Right.
only person in the room for women in IT or women in industries that are not really status quo for women,
Mm.
hey, you need someone to lock arms with to say yes, you can do that.
I like your energy. I love your energy. And that's what we need in this as we try and revive our businesses. We need
Yes,
people who are going to
yes,
push us to be passionate about something that we started years ago or something that we're
yes.
getting ready to start. I remember someone said, "What's the richest land in the world?" And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "The cemetery, because that's where all the dreams and
Oh, wow.
visionaries were laid to rest." And so,
Mm,
as we go out and try and understand what we're trying to do in our movements moving forward, it's important that we talk to people like yourself, as well as members in the chamber. I mean, you got to lean on the Sacramento Black Chamber because we have
right,
a
right.
multitude of people in a variety of different backgrounds who've been through the experiences, or going through the experiences, or who are at the start of something. And so, I thank you. I leave you with this one. Someone once said to me, and I say this a lot: You hang around 9 broke people, more than likely you're the 10th.
You're gonna be a
So I
broke
just
one
choose
too.
to hang. Yeah, I
Yes.
choose to hang around 9 well educated, well everything, well business oriented, well everything, so that I could take what they have and be that 10th person in the room.
Nothing. Hey, collaboration and being in a group of folk, positive minded, like minded people is key, right? Thank
Is
you.
key. Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. We appreciate you for spending some time with us. We want to thank Ms. Cynthia Brooks from Soul Force Enterprises, and she gives us an excellent opportunity as we look to bring it all into one thing, right? So we're going to bring up Martin Hertzfeldt. He's a certified PV installer, and the reason why I said we're going to bring it all in is because he's going to speak to us about what is going on in the energy sector, which is kind of key as to what's going to be going on in Sacramento as a region. And it creates a great opportunity for businesses to start to develop as well as educate themselves, as well as just get the insight on what's coming down the pipeline. We know, for example, there's almost $2 billion worth of construction coming into Sacramento. We know that the government is pushing for energy solutions. And so, as we bring it all in, as we talk about collaboration with West Coast Construction, as we talk about trying to get the organization in place with the virtual business strategy, as well as getting our vision set in place, let's have Martin speak to us about what he's seeing, what he's doing to renew, restore, and revive in the energy section. Thank you for being with us, Martin.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Adams. I just want to also put a hats off to you. You have been in business now since 2004, and I started my business in 2004. 2004 was a very good year, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Again, my name is Martin Hertzfeldt. I am an Interstate Renewable Energy Council Master Trainer. I am one of 10 master trainers in the United States and one of 2 in California. I'm the adjunct professor of the American River College in Sacramento. I teach the beginning through the advanced programs there. I've been teaching there for about 6 years now. I do have license classifications in C46, which is solar, C10, which is electrical, C7, which is instrumentation or like IT, we were talking about earlier. As,
I could use your help.
as well. I'm an OSHA authorized construction trainer, and so I do issue OSHA 10-hour and 30-hour cards too as well. I do also, when you're buying or selling a home, I'm an International Code Council certified residential electrical inspector, and so I look at the value, for example, of solar energy systems when they're being bought or sold on homes too as well. All right, and one of the things that is really important is being able to teach folks this on-ramp and how to be part of the specifically the renewable energy industry. So it's going to store our planet. It's going to be for the renewables and revive. And so I teach specifically folks to learn how to be in the passenger seat, not necessarily the driver's seat just yet, but the passenger seat. For example, what do you do when you're getting into a car? What you're going to do is you're going to put on your seatbelt, or let's say a personal fall arrest system when working on rooftops or barriers or a safety net. So you want to do that too as well. So one of the things is that all the courses in which I do teach are accredited courses. They are accredited by the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners too as well. I teach for adult education centers too as well. So if you're thinking about getting into the renewable energy industry and just learning the basics, it'd be good. I do offer classes at adult education. I have one coming up in January. I think it's like $50 or something like that. And it's also another one in March. But one of the things I wish you to do is to encourage you to learn as much as you possibly can about whatever you do as far as your trade or vocation. So Um, I guess that's it for right now.
Well, let me ask you this, Martin. What is a certified PV installer?
Well, a certified PV installer, for example, specifically one who has, for example, has the skills, knowledge, and abilities, including safety training, and has passed a series of tests, including the experience too as well. So to be, for example, to become a licensed contractor, you need to have at least 4 years of experience, for
Hmm.
instance. Well, to be a certified installer, you typically need 2 years worth of experience, and that includes not only skills such as coursework, but also hands-on training too as well. And there are a number of volunteer agencies that also help with the training too, Sunwork, Grid Alternatives, and some other ones. Mm-hmm.
What do you see as new business opportunities that people can start to educate themselves on, as well as to develop in this energy section? And I'm speaking more of like just getting started, because from the daunting part of energy renewal is there's so much education involved. It seems like there's a ton of education involved, but at some point in time, there's just a start. What do you think that start may be, or what do you think the chamber or any of these chambers could do to start educating its members on how to start getting into energy renewal?
Yeah, one of the things I've done is I've gone out to working with at least now 10 community-based organizations to go out and provide training in the communities, and so that's very important. And it would be basic level training, because most of the solar installation companies, they actually have on the job training, but the issue is being able to get your foot in the door to be a passenger in order to eventually earn a license and those kinds of things. So again, outreach into the community, and learn as much as you possibly can. Again, adult education centers, I think, are great places in order to learn, just kind of learn too as well. And again, the college offers an entry level course too, as far as basics. One of the things I
Excellent.
also one of the things I suggest do is take a look at your friends, right, and look at the solar modules that may be on the rooftop. That's the way I got started in the industry. Is just learning how to read a utility bill, and then learning how to then estimate how much energy is going to be generated from the system. And with the fact that sales for utilities, the sales needs to be decoupled from the profits, and the generation unbundled from the transmission. There's gonna, as long as energy rates stay where they are, it'll continue. The industry will continue to grow.
Okay. And so as we look to renew, revive, and restore, uh, what's your take on how people in our business sector and in homes, how do they look at the new energy sector coming down the pipeline that we know that's going to be mandated soon?
Yeah. So again, the course for career pathways is not only through college, but also through career technical education areas too as well. There is a huge.
I think we lost.
Not only work in California, but anywhere pretty much in the United States where sunlight shines and they have incentives.
Well, Martin, we appreciate you giving us your time today. Is there any last tidbits you'd like to share with us, that helps us understand how we can renew, revive, and restore coming into 2022?
Yes, and just try to take a look at the opportunities there. That there are two ways of getting into the solar industry. One of them is primarily being like a basic solar installer. The second one is to do solar sales, is what I was talking to you about before. Is that what you do is you go out, take a look, see how many solar modules fit on a rooftop, see how they look, work with the customer. So those are two entry ways uh, uh,
Okay.
to enter the industry.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I think as we try and wrap this up, I don't know if there's any additional questions coming in from the audience out there on 916 Go Lives. Um, if there's anyone that has any additional questions, go ahead and put it in the chat. Otherwise, let's see if we have any other closing remarks from anybody else within the group, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, and as we have one last person that's going to come up now. T.O. is coming to speak to us about what he does as he renew, restore, and revives his business. Let's bring up T.O., please. Thank you, T.O. How you doing?
All right, brother. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I'm getting used to this hosting. You know, I'm gonna get a lot better at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, outside of the technical difficulties, you're doing great, bro.
I appreciate you. So go ahead and give us some insight on what you do, and tell us how you plan to renew, restore, revive in 2022.
Oh, absolutely. For starters, thank you very much for the Sacramento Black Chamber of Commerce for allowing me this opportunity. So, ladies and brothers and sisters, my name is Theo De Niro Sessoms. I am the owner of Trend Consulting LLC here in Sacramento. And the reason for starting the business that I have is I started this business to be the resource that I wish I would have had for those that need help understanding and making their way through this shattered system. The shattered system that I'm referring to is the legal system. I was wrongfully convicted when I was 19 years old, sentenced to LWOP plus 15-year sentence.
Wow.
It took me 18 years to fight to get myself back. And from then till now, I've been out. This is my 4th year going and being free. And I have the opportunity as a free man to speak and be a force for those for change. My goal is to help provide a service that can literally save my clients' lives and those of that love their freedom. Many people take deals in the legal system. They take deals due to lack of knowledge and, admit fault to cases due to fear of sentencing, lack of rights and knowledge, and many other detriments to their life and family. I use my knowledge and my life experience as a mentor / consultant through my company, Trend Consulting. I also have the opportunity to visit some of the same prisons that I once held to educate those behind the walls. If you look in the back on the very top picture, that was me actually speaking at a prison, basically giving hope and motivation as well as uplifting those that have worn the same clothes that I once wore. The resources like Sacramento Black Chamber of Commerce have been a vital resource, not only in my company's success, but in my ability to gain access, find resources, learn knowledge, and gain a better understanding on not just having a business, but sustaining that business. The services that Trend Consulting provides are just to name a few, because there's a very long list of the services that we provide, but it's case research, private investigator and paralegal services, case tracking, court proceedings advocate, a correctional services advocate, meaning, for example, if you have someone that is incarcerated and is having I'd like to say an issue with the system, from medical treatment to being transferred in a timely fashion, my company would actually be the one to make the call to that particular prison, speak to the counselor, and basically get a better understanding and an answer versus the frustrations that inmates go through, which can lead to write-ups and then they ruin their transfer. So we also, with Trend Consulting, we plan for re-entry incarceration guidance. The re-entry part is one of the best things that I actually love doing in regards to Trend Consulting, because it gives me an opportunity to give others coming home reentering society, a quicker pace flow into society. Some people come home and they don't know what to do, which direction to go, how to go about it, and that's when the frustration kicks in, as well as the overwhelming, environment, and feeling the need that they were better off in prison. Um, I'm here to tell them that there's no such thing as they're better off in prison. You're better off out here with your family, pushing the envelope and living life to its fullest ability versus three hots in a cot, telling the same stories that you've told over a decade. And one of my personal favorites that I hated the most was listening to the exact same stories coming back for decades. So the one of the last services that we also provide is attorney inquiries, case status updates. When they know someone is watching, sometimes many find their moral obligation matters more to actually see their client as a person and not a number, an inmate, or slash just a paycheck. That's another discussion, in regards to the stuff that I actually went through in regards to attorneys. But like I said, that's another discussion. We're not going to worry about that right now.
That's another 916 Ghost Live discussion.
Yeah, that's
I dedicate a whole show to that one.
Hey, that's a whole nother show. And I do not have to say any names. There's all that stuff is public information, but I can definitely walk you through the scam of the way the legal system works in regards to having bad attorneys. My contact information. I am on LinkedIn. My email is t.rindllc@gmail.com. I also have a podcast called Theo Life Without. I'm available on all streaming platforms, and it's very colorful. I invite people to come and listen to a horror story turned basically into a joke.
Wow. What's interesting is you're the true definition of restore, renew, and revive, and taking your story and putting it out there to the world for people to see. And I think the biggest thing you said is your name is Tio, which is Unc.
Uncle.
And Unc in our culture is a form of respect. It's kind of like you ain't the OG, but you the OG, but you the uncle who always give that insight and knowledge. So the name is befitting of you. And I think that what you're offering as a service is what we truly need in our community, because we don't have the resources or the insight and the knowledge into the justice system. And for you to have gone through that, I love to see you reviving. So I thank you for what you're already doing and continue to do.
Thank you very much, so brother, and I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to share with other brothers and sisters. My goal, like I said, I failed when I was 19. My goal now is to see to it 19-year-olds have a better understanding and a different path versus sitting in that county jail. In my office right now, and my office is literally right across the street from the same place that sentenced me to life without, and I can see the Sacramento County Jail from the same window. So, here we are.
Yep. You know what, Tio, I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to working with you. I think there's some programs that me and Vernon, I need to talk to Vernon about this workforce development, about trying to get people who are in the system opportunities in this construction arena. So I definitely look forward to reconnecting with you down the line. This has been interesting for me as a board member for the Sacramento Black Chamber to see all the different varieties of businesses that we have to support our community and communities outside, as well as just grow our businesses. So, Tio, I give you the last word of thought. Is there anything else you would like to share with us in regards to how we renew, restore, and revive?
Brothers and sisters, Happy New Year. We closed 2021 out the way it was supposed to be closed. 2022 is, it's not how you start it, it's how you finish it.
Yep.
Most people say they'll have a lot of negative stuff to say about those that did not complete their New Year resolutions. Excuse me. I'm here to say It's not how you start it, it's how you finish it. So close out strong. God bless you all, and thank you for having me again.
God bless you too, and Happy New Year.
Happy
And
New
as
Year.
I close this out, I want to say to what T.O. just said, as we restore, renew, and revive, hey, write it down. Because as we close out 2021, if you actually wrote it down at the beginning of 2021 and look back at what you've accomplished, you've actually accomplished a lot more than you thought. So every year, and this is how me and Eric got on this conversation, I was like, man, it's time to start writing. I need to renew, restore, and revive my company. And when I look back on 2021, I didn't reach all my goals, but I got a solid B plus. Now, this year I'm going for an A plus 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 plus. But remember, we're setting goals and we're always trying to accomplish them. And that's what makes sure is that we're setting our path. So be strategic, be open-minded, be clear, and understand what these businesses out here and lean on your people. The year of 2022 is collaborative cooperation. Let's work together to renew, restore, and revive. Thank you for joining 916 Go Live. This is Mark Adams signing out.